folks. Thanks for joining me today. This being the third day of June, I thought it would be a great way to start off my tutorials in June with the June soul symbol. So this is what I'm doing, and I start off with a base coat of black, like I always do. And then because the birthstone of June is a pearl, I'm putting on a white base coat because I really want that pearl color to shine and not get lost or sucked up by that black background. And it takes a lot of coats of paint to do it. So I'm putting on the base coat first, and I paint it on with a brush first, and then I sponge it. So it just gives it a nice even coverage. And once I finish this one, I do a second coat of white paint because it wasn't very solid. So that's what I did. And now I'm putting on the pearl paint. So this pearl paint I got from Michaels. It's their brand of paint, and it's pearl white. I love it because once it dries, look at the shine. It's just so beautiful, and it's even more beautiful after it's been resin. Just gleams. So you can see on here that I've already got a drawing on here, and unfortunately I forgot to press record when I started drawing it, so I'm sorry folks that you don't get to see that, but it is a fish. So the June soul symbol is a fish. And the reason being is you're the carefree spirit of the ocean, and all you care about in life is freedom and having fun. And everybody that I know that's born in June has this trait. I mean, they still have responsibility, of course, but they're just so, let's do this, let's do that, let's go and play, or anything like that. Very carefree, not really worried about too much, just live in the moment. And we all need these kinds of people in our lives because they sort of balance us out. So the ones that have anxiety about certain things or worried all the time, or those kinds of things, having someone like this in your life sort of anchors you. And I know that I've got a couple of June babies in my world, and they do exactly that. So I'm very pleased to have them in my life. So yeah, so the colors that I'm using here, they're very basic. They're black, white, spun gold, and the pearl white. And that's it. I don't use any other colors. I've listed all of the brand names and the colors in the description below, but you don't have to use the colors that I'm using. You can use whatever you have available in your stash. But definitely, if you can get your hands on some of that pearl white from Craft Smart, the Michaels brand, definitely get some because it's amazing. It's great for, I use it sometimes for doing the little light bloops because it's got a little bit of a shine to it rather than just plain white. But yeah, definitely get your hands on some of that stuff. You're gonna love it. So I am using a fine lining brush, and this fine lining brush I created on my own. Now, if you want to see a tutorial on how to do that, please swing over to Rachel's Rocks. She's got a great tutorial on how to create these kinds of brushes, and that's where I learned it from. She also has a huge selection of tutorials on painting, and she's actually been my inspiration to get onto YouTube. So thanks, Rachel. Definitely go check her out. It's Rachel Rocks Canada, and she's got a lot of great stuff to inspire you. And I hope that you do go over to her YouTube, and she's also got an Etsy shop. So definitely check it out. The stone that I'm working on is a art stone from a mold that I purchased from the Happy Dotting Company. And the Happy Dotting Company has a huge selection of different types of molds that you can use to make your own rocks. She has things for like pen holders and tea light holders. It's just amazing molds that she has, and they live up, as long as you take care of them, they live up to all of your expectations. They are great molds, like good quality. Definitely go and check out her Etsy shop. You can find her in the description below. I've left a link for her Etsy shop, as well as the tools that I use for making the dots, because I always put dots on for my border around my frame. I use tools that I purchased from the Dotting Center. Uh, Amazing stuff there as well. Definitely go check them out. I've left a description, or I left a link in the description below. And if you purchase anything there, you can use my discount code. I have one for the Dotting Center. It's Charity10. It's also listed in the description below. So definitely go check them out, and you're going to just love the stuff that they have. The Dotting Center also has a lot of YouTube videos that are tutorials that you can follow along with by using the tools that she provides or that you've purchased from her. So it gives you sort of like a one-on-one on how to use her tools and get more comfortable with them and know what their abilities can do for you. And yeah, it's just great. So yeah, what I'm doing here in my video is I am outlining and filling in some of the fish that I've created. Now it's a tribal fish, and I love the way tribal animals are depicted. And I don't know if it's like the solid versus the thin lines or the coloring in them or whatever it is, but the designs just have always drawn to me and I love them. So that's why I've done a fish. I think actually in all of my soul symbols of the month, I've done all of them in some form or another of a tribal or aboriginal kind of painting, all except for March, because March was yin yang, and well, there's only really one way you can do it. It's just how you decorate it. So that's what I've done with this fish. I do have another one that I'm working on, but I haven't quite finished it yet. So unfortunately, you're not going to see a picture of it at the end, but I have been filming it. So I'm going to post it sometime this month so you can see the other type of fish that I did up. It's not tribal. It's more of, I don't want to say cartoony, but kind of. You'll see, but you'll just have to wait and see. Well, that's a great segue to lead me into the whole, if you like my video, give me the thumbs up. And if you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. I post every Friday. And if you don't want to miss when the next fish comes out or any of my other tutorials, make sure you hit that bell because that'll give you the notification to let you know that I just uploaded a new cool thing to watch. So I got my inspiration for this fish by looking at imagery on the internet. So I just did a Google search for tribal fish, and I came up with all sorts of different designs and ways to create it. And this is the design that I created from looking at the different imagery that I found through doing a Google search. It's just that simple. However, if you want to copy something that you found on the internet, like you want to print it off and trace it onto your rock or whatever that you want to do, make sure that it's not copyrighted because I don't want to see anybody get into any kind of trouble or anything. Just make sure that it's not copyrighted and that you can use it. If you do want to use it, you can always contact the publisher and ask permission and give details on what you're going to be using it for. Most are okay for you to use their imagery as long as you're not going to be selling it. So there is that issue. Maybe you should include that as well. But all in all, it's just a bunch of different shapes in the same formation of the outside of your design. So it should be pretty easy to do on your own. But I just thought I would mention that a lot of my inspiration does come from the internet. I also live in Northern Ontario, so any of my imagery or any of my designs that I come up with that are nature related are based off of photographs that I've taken or of places I've visited that don't necessarily have that kind of an image on the internet. Um, so, anyways, back to what I'm doing here. I'm now just going back over everything's done for black, but I'm just going through and making sure that my lines are sharp and they're clean and thick where they need to be thick and thin where they need to be thin, and just adding in all of the extra little pieces of detail that I really wanted to include in this. I also go back with the white pearl paint and cover up some of the black that I found was too thick and I've lost the whiteness. So I go back with that just to fix that up. Um, but all in all, I am like really impressed with this design. It's like so beautiful. I'm just impressed with it. Looks like it's kind of, jumping out of the water after like a dragonfly that just flew by or something. Just, it's really, really interesting. And you could do this in colors. You don't have to do this with black and white. You can do this with color. Absolutely. There's nothing stopping you from changing it up, doing whatever you want to do. Actually, if you do this tutorial or you do a design like this and you use color, I would love to see it. If you could throw it in the comments below, I would love to see what your design came out from the inspiration that I'm giving you on this tutorial. It would be so interesting to see. Um, so yeah, this is really fun to do, and I kind of like how the tail of the fish, or the, I don't know what you call that, the extension to the tail of the fish, looks almost like a skeleton. But yeah, it's really neat. And now I'm just filling in the bits on the tail because I had filled it in all black and I wanted it to match the other fins that were on his back. And now what I'm doing is marking off where I want to put my dots. So you guys have seen me use this a few times if you've been following and watching my tutorials. It's a template that I got from the Happy Dotting Company, and it fits over these size molds perfectly. So and now I'm just putting on some gold dots, and I go around the entire thing. And again, using the tools that I received from the Dotting Center. Again, the links are in the description below if you want to get any of your own. But I just do these gold dots all around, and then I walk some dots around those dots, just using a nail stylist or like a dotting tool. Some embossing tools are like this as well, that they have the round ball, metal ball at the end. You can use those as well. Or a toothpick. You don't have to use what I'm using. And now, of course, the bling bling. So I'm using some triple thick as a glue. And I am putting on these little pearl accents. And then I finish it off with some black dots in the middle of the gold dots. And then it's ready for resin. So there you have it, folks. Life is what you make it. So get creative.